Hey guys, this is gamercal, and yes, I am still temporarily away, etc., but this was too fucking awesome not to show. I just have to show this. I've been playing against Flandre again for a bit because, honestly, she's just awesome, and I royally screwed up the start here, but check that dodge out there, that was just fucking awesome. This whole run, apart from the end, was just absolutely awesome, so I just had to upload this. My original Flandre video was the first time that I actually captured, not even captured, the first time I'd actually beaten Flandre, so it was good, especially for its time, but, I could do better than that. I knew I could, so that's what we go for here. You can see this time I'm going a lot more for score than I am for the actual, thing of just surviving, because I know I can just survive this now. So, once you've kind of gotten to that point, it's a case of, well, why don't you up the ante a bit, If you can survive, then why not try and survive and score really well? Unfortunately, the ending kind of screwed that up, but even so, despite messing up at bits there, it's still 16 million points, it's still absolutely fantastic, so, okay, not absolutely fantastic, I can get 20 million points at this bit, but that's extremely rare, so yeah, once again, you have seen this before, but I didn't commentate it last time, so it was kind of maybe watered down a little bit. I still don't consistently, 100% capture that card. It's just so annoying. It's micro movement, and because Patchy moves around so much, it's hard to actually keep your fire focused on her. Royal Flare is still Royal Flare, it's fine. And looking at this card, I actually dislike Satori's version of it a lot more than this one, but I don't think I could time this out. I think the only reason I can consistently capture that is because of Marissa's firepower. But whatever, so this old aimed fire thing again, you've hopefully seen my strategy notes from the last time, so you know the general idea of what I do. However, this is different because I now want to collect as many items as I can. So using Marissa's unfocused movement is a godsend there, and I was like, whoa, hi there, but, how is it going? But the book didn't really get in the way, so that was a good thing. Marissa's movement is so fast, and I'm just used to that. The one disadvantage with it is that I twitch an awful lot. You see, sometimes the movement is, to me, my movement at least, is a little bit jerky at times. And, collecting those items there was a godsend as well, because it was just, wow. I didn't really read that quickly, so, I had to bomb that. It's not a disaster, I wasn't fussed about bombing at all. So long as I survived, that was the main thing. And look at that, compare that to last time. I don't even know what score I had last time, but it's like 85 million. And I probably only had about 56 last time. Anyway, again I skipped the intro test because I really wasn't expecting to get this, but I've played this stage a hell of a lot of times. I've played the text through a lot of times, and the replays don't save it very well anyway, so, Okay, so as I said before in Cranberry Trap, the idea is to try and start at the middle, go down to the bottom, and then, come back up again afterwards. It's really helped when Flandre actually moves to the side first, because if she moves up first, then it's hard to stay focused on her with the Cranberry Trap stuff going on. And Levitin. Levitin is an awesome card. It's not difficult, but it's just plain awesome. It tests your movement and stuff. Once you've got the pattern down, it's absolutely nothing. You can see Marissa's firepower is freaking fantastic. It just captures the stuff so quickly once it stays under the boss. Again, that non-card was nothing, so we didn't need to talk about it. Four of a Kind, one of my favourite cards ever. I don't know why, it's just so freaking awesome. It's not actually that hard, because if you can find the sort of spots like I had, then, there's points in the card where the fire just doesn't really go. And, it's easy or hard, or hard even, depending on where, Flandre sits, the real Flandre, but, oh well. Kagome is a fairly straightforward card, but it seems to catch me quite often, because I don't know what it is, I just get unlucky with this card. You know, it's like there's either unwinnable situations or Flandre moves so far away that I can't get to her. And yes, typical that she moves that way, you know, just to try and catch me out. You can probably see the spell card bonuses are really negligible in this, but the, you know, compared to Imperishable Knights, say, but the point items are worth shit tons, so you really need them. Anyway, Maze of Love, Cursed Enemy of the Ages. I've decided I've just screw this and I'm just going to do it normally, or as normally as it's expected. I always seem to get caught by that second wave because it always seems to move faster than I expect. However, I managed to get it this time and I was really impressed by that, and it's like, fuck yeah, captured Maze of Love, you know. That's not the first time I've ever captured it, but I think my grand total, you know, thing of this is something like 6 in 70 odd tries by now. It's a really horrendous spell card. Starbow Break, another one of my favourite cards out of this, even though I don't tend to capture it all that well. You know, I don't tend to do very well at this one at the end. It just overwhelms me. Again, I don't think I could time that one out. However, I managed to stay under Flandre pretty much the whole time now, so you could see it was dead easy capture. You know, wonderful stuff. And this is about the only tricky non-spell. I think the second non-spell was kind of hard because it's a little bit dense as well, but that's about the only tricky one. Even that's not that hard anymore. Catadioptric, however, is a fair bastard because of Marissa's really narrow range, and you pretty much have to stay in that bottom right hand corner because otherwise I think it would take a lot of work to do. I think I've seen somebody actually with Marissa A going all over the place and capturing that, but you know, capturing it much faster than I have here, but whatever. Anyway, this is streaming and I kind of went, you know, darting up to get the items and went, oh god, gotta get down again. And I kind of messed this up right here, but look at that. Freaking hell, there's no real explanation for that, but it's just some epic dodges in this one. I might, at the very end of this actually, I'm probably going to put a slowdown thing of the top 4 or 5 dodges in this round just to really put it out, because some of them were fantastic, honestly. I couldn't replicate them to save my life, but there were some dodges in this that were just amazing. Anyway, counterclock is not that difficult, but I seem to fail at it an awful lot for some reason, you know, despite it not being too hard. However, I managed to do it this time, so that's pretty good. It's just little micro movement type stuff there, and unfortunately this is where all the good news ends, because, yeah, I can do this card. I can really do it. I've not done it in both of the takes now that I have saved of this, but I can do it, and again, if I've got time, I'm going to show that at the end of this video in a different replay that I have actually captured this card, because honest to god, it is not impossible at all. You do have to lure Flandre correctly at the start though. I don't know if that's the only method of doing it, but that is like my method there, to do that, basically lure her to the bottom corners in that fashion. And then, you know, these waves that I've shown before, the red ones are, you know, the red ones, the blue ones are in that grid shape, these ones, that's actually really not difficult to avoid at all. The yellow ones, the only reason the yellow ones are annoying is because the next yellow one appears before the previous one comes down, but the gap is wide enough that it doesn't make a difference. And now it gets faster, so yeah, you know, it's still okay at this point, but the spell gets one last wave on you, and that's where it starts getting really hard. It's right about here, because now they start appearing really quickly, and I can do it, but I just messed up my positioning in this one. I didn't see it in time, so, you know, I just flat out died instead of bombing as well. And then QED. I am really still annoyed at this one. I've still not captured this. I've gotten 95% of the spell done, and then I get clipped. But I really failed at it this time, unfortunately. It's pathetic. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I flat out don't know. I actually shouted at myself on that one because that was just horrible. But unfortunately it gets worse as well because it happens again. Right about here. Yep. I just have no explanation for it, and that really pissed me off because, you know, that I could have had an extra 300,000 points if I just bombed this instead, but I didn't see it coming. And yeah, unfortunately, it's still a little bit too fast for me. If I'd have inched down there, it would have been fine, but whatever. So in the end, it's still a damn good score, and it's still a damn good run, but I was kind of disappointed at the end of that. However, there was no way I couldn't show that. It was just far too good not to show. You know, it's 11 out of 13 spells captured. Annoyingly, it should have been 12, but I'm not that fussed. So, yeah, I do have enough time. There's about 4.5 minutes left yet. So, what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to run through this again myself. I'm going to edit this in Movie Maker and whatnot, so I'll show the dodges that I think were the best out of that. And then I'm going to show a capture of the second last one, the survival spell, because I can capture it, and it's really bugging me now that I haven't got a thing of that shown. So neither of those are going to have commentary though, so if you're only in this for the commentary, you might as well leave at this point. So this has been gamercal. You've been watching a rerun of Flandre Scarlet, you know, because it was just too epic not to. And join me when I do come back. This is probably going to be the only video I'll do because my deadlines are next week, so, you know, I might, however, try and start doing a video Wednesday afternoon, a week on Wednesday, because my first exam is on that day, my second exam is a week on that day, so I think I can get something done then. We'll see, but I'm not promising, so don't hold me out on that. See you guys.